Hello. I have a feeling that maybe we won't have a ton of people here today because of the time change. I don't know if everyone in the world still does that. Maybe people will show up in an hour. Hello, Donna. I don't know. I don't know how time change works. I just know it sucks. Uh, anyway, I'm super excited for our value studies this month. So, I know leading up to this, January and February, has kind of felt like a little bit of a drawing class type thing that we were doing. But those were just kind of the very basics. Those are the elements that you start with on every painting. So I felt like it was important to go there. But from here on out, pretty much everything we do have a perspective class coming up. Um, but I think pretty much everything we're going to do from here on out is going to be paint centric. So don't worry, we're not going to start like doing detail sketches anytime soon because this lady doesn't do that. So I can only teach you what I know how to do. So what we are going to do today is start talking about the importance of values as it relates to painting. Um, Very similar concepts in drawing, but I'm not going to approach it from a drawing point of view. So I think everybody knows from past. Man, I'm really fidgety today. Sorry. Um, I keep looking for something to fidget with while I'm talking. I think everybody pretty much knows from our past color theory workshops that value is how light or how dark something is. I don't know. I never know where my little value scale is. Doesn't matter. We're going to make a new one today anyway. So, black is going to be the darkest value, and white is going to be the lightest value. And then, like, the balance between those is going to be mid-tone and all that. Now, you're probably going to sometimes hear people refer to values by a number, like it's a level 1 value or a level 10 value. And that can get super confusing, so we're not going to use that kind of we're not going to use that kind of um, those terms today. And let me show you why. When I was in beauty school, those actually don't work for that. But when I was in beauty school, what's unappreciated value for reals, and we're gonna go over that pretty heavily today. When I was going through beauty school, and you learn about hair coloring and things like that, so we did a lot of color theory. We had value charts as well, and ours actually went from 1 to 12. With 1 being black and 12 being white. I've seen artists use value charts that go um, 5 levels, 7 levels. Black is considered 0, white is considered 10. So we're going to ignore that. We're only going to speak in like absolutes, pure black, pure white, a mixture of the two. So, and like Eileen said, it's so underappreciated. All this month and next month, because next month we're going to start talking about color. I want you to remember the saying. If you need to write it down, please write it down. It's very important that value does all of the work and color gets all of the glory. You can see this in action if you just watch a black and white film. So if you watch a black and white film and you can see everything that's happening, you can see the details, you can see the person's facial features, you can see shadows, you can see, everything. That's because value is doing the work. That's why black and white films work. And even though they don't have the color. So, your values need to be the basis of everything you do, which is exactly why when you see me starting a painting, I underpaint and I use that as kind of a mid-tone. But then I go back over and start like drawing everything, and everything gets darker and darker and darker in the areas it's going to be dark before I put down any color, because I have to set my values. I have to make sure that you're still going to be able to see the individual elements once the color is put on it. So, have you ever seen those paintings? I couldn't find any really good examples. Um, so I was looking for one to pick apart. Not really good examples, but have you ever seen the paintings where it's like a person's face or a dog or something, and it's painted in lots of vibrant colors, lots and lots of vibrant colors? And you can have those where they work really well, where you can clearly read the face. You see where the shadows are and all of that. And you can see other ones where you're like, something is just off about this. The drawing is good. They're using the same colors as this painting, but it just feels flat or amateur somehow. And that's probably because the values are off. So let's get started figuring values out. So I am, like I said, I'm coming at this from a painting perspective today. And so I'm going to be using paint. But I want you to do this in, whatever primary medium you find yourself using. So if you, like Meta does a lot of pencil sketching, so I would want her to do this in pencil. Tammy isn't here with us right now, but she does a lot of digital, so I would encourage her to do this digitally, etc. You can even do this in watercolor. So I'm going to start, that's really, really bright, with just black and white. That's it. My darkest value, my lightest value. So, like I said, value charts for artists typically go in 10 levels. For the sake of mixing ease, which you'll understand why in a minute, I'm just going to go 9 levels. It doesn't make that much of a difference, but we're going to do 9 levels, and I'll show you why. So, who's doing pen and ink? Oh, for you? Good, good, good. Are you doing, Eileen, are you going to be doing what you did? I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but the picture that you showed me recently, that I told you was really awesome, are you going to be doing that? Excellent, Sasha. That works too. If so, Eileen, I want you to do it just like that. I hope you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm just going to draw I'm not going to get real fancy. I just want straight lines here. I'm going to draw something I can use for a value chart. All right. I'm going to freehand the rest of them because, yeah, charcoal, absolutely. Absolutely. Whatever medium you've got on hand or want to try, they're all going to work. Okay, so we're going to do 9. So we're going to have, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I don't think that's going to be enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Heck yeah. Now, if you are using pen, pencil, marker, charcoal, even watercolor, what I want you to do first is paint in one end or the other. It doesn't matter. Whatever makes sense to you, whatever's comfortable for you. Paint in one of the squares on the end with pure black. So, if I can get, there we go. I'm going to put a bunch of paint up here. There's some black. I know that's a lot of paint. It's for a reason. Yeah. I wasn't sure if you wanted me to even say that it was for an ATC. Hi, Laura. How are you? I'm glad you're here too. All right, and then I'm going to put a bunch of white over here. If you are using watercolor, just use black, and instead of white, water. Just clean, clear water. Okay, you can do the same thing. So I'm going to get a brush and I'm going to fill in this square with pure black. Okay. And I'm going to fill in the other square with pure white. And whether you guys are doing this right now with me or not, please do this sometime this week. It's going to come in really helpful. If you want to use this as we go, make it the size, shape, everything that you need. I'm going to get white and I'm going to paint in this end. If you are using anything other than acrylic or oil paint, just leave it blank. Pencil, charcoal, watercolor, leave that one blank. That will be your white. Okay. Now, so the reason I'm doing a 9 instead of 10 is because when there's 9, there's a central box. When there's 10, there's not, which doesn't matter. It's just easier to mix when you've got a central box. So I am going to get my palette knife. Here's a quick tip if you're using acrylic or oil paint. This is not going to be a 50-50 mixture. If I mix these together in equal parts, I may not get a mid-tone gray because they're two different brands of paint and different colors, and each color and brand has different amounts and sometimes types of pigments. So if I mix those together 50-50, I might get a color that's too dark or even too light. So we're going to visually mix. Just trust yourself, okay? In fact, let's see how different these are. Here's a quick little test to see how well balanced your paint colors are. So I've got my black here. That's just dry oil paint. It's not going to affect anything. And I'm going to get the most even little blob that I can. So just that little blob. I'm going to put it there. And now I'm going to get as close to that exact same blob in white as I can. It's pretty close. And I'm going to mix them together. And we'll see. Yeah, see how dark that is? That's not a mid-value gray. So that's what I mean. Don't just mix them 50-50 because that isn't going to work. So now I know my black is a lot stronger than my white. So I'm going to start with my white. I'm going to grab half of this. I'm going to drop it here. Then I'm going to grab less than half of my black, maybe about a quarter of it. And I'm going to mix it in. And we'll start there. Might be a little too light, but that's okay. Yep, that's a little light. Let's just mix it a little bit darker. Take your time on this. If I seem like I'm rushing it, it's just because I'm aware that you guys are watching and I don't want you to get bored and, you know, whatever. But take your time and balance this color to the best of your abilities. Hello, Meta. Welcome. I was just talking about you. Ooh, that's really glary, isn't it? That's better, but now it's really dark. What about here? Oh, that's better. Okay. So I'm going to make that slightly darker. Good grief, man. Winter days are so hard to, they make it so hard to light my studio. Tiny bit darker. Rather have you get it little bits at a time than keep seesawing between too dark and too light. I think that's good. Okay. So we're going to call that my mid-tone value. I feel like it is slightly too light, but I think it's fine for the demonstration. All right, we're going to get some of that. We're going to paint it in our center. So right there. So that's essentially a visually balanced black and white mixture. All right. So from here, I guess I better put the lids back on my paint. My space heater will dry them all out. From here, we are going to, again, visually mix. It's not a half and half thing. I'm going to grab a good blob of this, stick it between those, a good blob of that. We're going to find the center balance between the pure black and this mid-tone gray. Make sure you leave room that you can make a color in between these and a color in between these. A little more. And Meta, we are making value charts with 9 squares. I was saying when I mentioned you earlier that since you use pencil as an example, that I would want you to do this with pencil. So make 9 squares like this and make the darkest, is rattling over here, make the darkest, most filled in square you can with your pencil for your darkest value. Your white can just remain blank. Okay, I think that's good. That's fair. Well, God, it still seems. I think I'm running a little light today. There we go. That'll be good. So that's our center color between these two. Still feel like that's ever so slightly light. There we go. Same thing over here. We're going to take this color and we're going to mix it with black to go in between. You guys can't really see that because of the glare, but there, can you kind of see the transition? If you're using pencil, charcoal, etc., you're not doing all this mixing. I will run over that real quick for you guys as soon as I'm done here, okay? So now I'm going to get some of this mid-tone color and we're going to mix it with this color for something darker than this, lighter than this. I don't think there's quite enough. Yeah, let's darken that just a bit more. There we go. That's better. Same thing on the other side. We'll do this as quickly as possible. Some at. And just start with a little bit of white. It's pretty good. Just a tiny bit lighter. I think that's actually pretty good. And then our middle of the road between these two. I'm not blending them in with each other. You can do it like a gradient if you want. I personally find it easier when I can see the separate colors. Let's see if there's a little bit darker there. All right, and then our last one. We'll get just a bit of that and a good bit of white. I might mix a little more white in here. Sorry, my sinuses are bothering me so bad today. I've been, um, going through things, packing things up, and of course, you start in the places in your house that you haven't touched in forever, and those things are always super dusty. So, all weekend for this today, Sunday, yeah, like the last several days, I've just been inhaling dust and packing stuff up. So I'm a little bit snotty, sorry. And my throat is really dry. Okay. So let's see if we've got better light here. So there is my grayscale. It could have been balanced a little bit better, but like I said, I did it quickly so that you guys would understand the concept. When doing this with pencil, marker, charcoal, whatever. Let me find I have a charcoal pencil somewhere. Go. Oh, I've got this vine. I'll use the vine. So, if you're going to use charcoal or something, and you've got your boxes. Let's just do this real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 10. That's fine. Okay, so you want to fill this one in as absolutely dark as you can get it with whatever medium or technique it is that you're using. So if you are a crosshatcher, do this with crosshatching until it's as black as you can get it. Whatever. All right. You can't see it because I suck at my job. There we go. All right. Now, in the next one, or another thing you can do is say, this is white, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make it as light as I possibly can. Fill it in as much as you can. Charcoal naturally goes on darker. So that's about as light as this gets. The next one, I'm going to do it the exact same way as this one. Just as light. And then I'm going to do another layer that's maybe just a little bit darker. And the same thing. Go into each one super light and slowly work up in whatever your technique is. If you're just scribbling it in, that's fine. If you're cross-hatching or swirling or whatever, start just a little bit and continue with it until it's darker. And we're going to do the same thing all the way across. Keep an eye on the previous one so that you know as soon as you've reached darker. We'll do this one. Let's see if I can get it to be pretty good by the time I get to that black one on the end, or if I've missed the mark. Not too bad. A little darker on that one. Okay. Stay there. Not too bad. Probably did better on that one than I did with the paint. So something similar to that. Watercolor, full saturation, just water. Mix a middle value with your water, and then split it the same way as I did with the acrylic paint. God, seriously, I don't know what is going on with my color. This just looks so blown out, but also too dark. Give me just a second. Let me see if I can fix this somehow. Let's see if that's better. Oops, wrong way. Oh, much better. Okay. Does everybody feel pretty secure on making a value chart? Do we have questions? Concerns? Whatever? Do I need to clarify something a little bit more? So pen and ink, spacing of lines more than anything. Yeah, so cross-hatching there. I've got a pen around here somewhere. And a pen is actually a really cool one to do it with, too, because the pen or a marker or anything like that it really only, man, I just have boxes everywhere. It really only makes one value when you do the line. You might be able to get it a little darker if you push hard, maybe a little lighter if you don't, but let's do that with a pen. Um, yes, absolutely meta, 100%. She says, with pencil, I'm finding the hardness of the lead or graphite makes a difference. Mine range from 2B, 2H, BH, 4B, 6B. Yeah. So the harder a pencil is, the lighter the marks are going to be. The softer a pencil is, the darker it's going to be. Excuse me. So, and that goes for charcoal too. Charcoals come in different hardnesses. The vine charcoal that I used is extraordinarily soft, so it goes pretty dang dark. But yeah, I think I have one right here. Uh, Grief. It's like I cleaned up in here or something. I had just a regular pencil. Let's just demonstrate that real quick. And a pen. And then we're going to move on. Uh, Time to get some of this stuff out of my studio and into storage. So this is a number 2 HB pencil. You could cheat and do it that way, Eileen, but then when you go for your light values, your lines might be too bold. That's going to really kind of be the same thing as a pencil hardness. Oh, excellent. Joe, I'll go look at that in just a minute. So this is a number 2, the darkest I can get with a number 2. No matter how much I push or layer or whatever, that's really going to be probably about this value. Let's see. Oh, it's even lighter than that. Yeah. So the tool you use is also going to dictate how light or how dark you can go. So for this exercise, make sure you're using, if this is the only thing you ever use is a number 2 pencil, make your value chart with that. Yeah. Okay, let's go see Joe's real quick. Oh, I need to do the pen one too. I don't have Discord open on my computer. There it is. Joe. Girl. Perfection. It looks more washed out on my phone. If you're on Discord, head over there and look at it. On my phone, it looks like there's a big jump between these two. But when I look at it, there's not. It's just the way my phone is showing it. That's really, really good, Joe. Good job. So just a Bic ballpoint pen. If we're doing hatch marks, let's say, we would do the first square. Maybe just like that. The second square. Okay, and so on. And we would get more and more. You can try working on pressing a little harder, see if that helps as well. I feel like it did help me there to get a number 3. And just all the way. I'm not going to go all the way to the end. I'm just going to do this next one to show you how we get darker from there, because that was pressing harder. Now we're going to, and then the next one will go that way, and then the next one will start over with that way until you get to black. So that's how you would do that there. Now, if any of you want to post yours to Discord as we go, that would be great. I would love to stop and look at them. Actually, I think we're done right here for a minute anyway. What I want to show you right now is, we're not going to talk about color, but I want to illustrate to you the importance of values in your paintings. So I have found a bunch of paintings that I want to show you. Yes, some of these are going to be like examples of how not to do it, but please don't think that I am like tearing an artist down, okay? Because we all start somewhere. I have absolutely made paintings in the past without considering value at all. Sometimes I still have to stop and remember to check my values. So I am not like making fun of anyone here, okay? I'm not going to tell you where these images came from because I'm not trying to shame anyone or anything like that. Let's actually jump back down to here because I'm going to show you on my phone. So, oh, let's see. Sasha did hers with pencils. Excellent, Sasha. And cross hatching. Very nice work again. Excellent, excellent. And again, right here, it looks like there's a big jump on my phone, but there's not. So, awesome work. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of paintings and we're going to talk about what it looks like with the color. Is it interesting? Is it, is it pretty? But then we're going to look at it in black and white and see how it changes. And we'll decide, would this painting be better served with some higher focus on values or not? So here's the first painting we're going to look at. I actually really love the colors in the sky. I think it's very dynamic and exciting. In the water as well. The trees, it's pretty much all just like dark. There's a little green on there that says, these are green trees, not black trees. Some bushes with some highlights. We've got, clearly this is going to be the shadow side because it's blue, which indicates shadow a lot of times. Things like that. And you can do this with your own art as well. And I recommend that you do it from time to time. So what I'm going to do is, every phone has this ability. I use an Android, so I can't tell you how to do it on an iPhone. But I'm going to edit this photo. And what I'm going to look for is in these, see I've got exposure, brightness, whatever. I'm looking for saturation. Now I'm going to take the saturation all the way down to 0. Going all the way up intensifies the colors. Going all the way down removes all of the color. So do you see what happened when I turned the saturation down? You can still read it, but the water is flattened out. It's pretty much all one value now, except for like some of the shadows are on the edges. The trees, they're essentially one value. There's ever so slightly something going on there, but it's really not enough to tell you that this is an individual tree or separate it from anything else or whatever. The shadows on the mountains, the shadows and highlights on the mountains, the blue is ineffectual. To rely on the blue alone to say this is a shadow side does not work. Because without this dark line here and without this white line here, we really have no difference between the two sides of the mountain. A little bit here, but really it's not enough. So overall, I think that this painting would be so much more interesting if they had painted in all of the values first, made sure that the painting read appropriately, that they could tell what was water, what was land, what's a reflection. Like we have a little bit of a white line here, but there's really not a lot of difference here. So that white line ends up kind of looking like it's floating. So that's just one example of how you can take a painting that's got beautiful color. This is pleasing to look at. But it doesn't work because the values aren't there. Okay? If for some reason I happen to magically pick a painting that someone here did, which I'm positive I didn't, I just did random Google searches, then I'm sorry, but But I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. Okay, let's look at, and don't worry, I'm going to pick apart some of my paintings too. I have a couple of mine in here too. Um, Here's another one. I actually really like the composition and the flow of this one. But even looking at it on my computer screen, there's values that have disappeared. There's elements in the top portion that you don't really see because they're the same value essentially as the sky. They've disappeared into each other. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. I'm going to wait for an answer. So yeah, you got to give me an answer. What do you think is the darkest value in this painting? Is there one spot or area that is darker than everything else? And I know there's a delay, so I'll wait a sec. Anybody? Anybody? Nobody? Okay. Nope, nobody's got an answer. All right, so it's easy to look at this and say, well, probably the orange. That's probably the darkest. See, Eileen said the orange. Yeah, the orange looks like it's probably the darkest, but maybe this corner is. The deeper blue streak in the sky, Joe says. Yep, Meta says the orange too. There is a deeper blue streak in the sky, which is about the same value as here. They look to be about the same blue. So let's see. Like I said, I like this painting. I think that it's a really excellent start for an abstract. It's attractive. Let's get to our, oh, by the way, real quick, when you're doing this on your phone, a lot of phones do have filters and there are black and white filters. Don't use those. Those black and white filters are tweaked in such a way that you're not actually going to get an accurate value reading. Okay, so we're not using those. Instead, we're gonna do these little individual ones. I'm looking for saturation. If I take it all the way up, it gets really bright. If I take it all the way down, now what's the darkest value? I'm gonna say, by looking at this, there is still a bit of, I think that's a little bit, that's probably roughly the darkest value. The orange here might be roughly close to that. This is probably roughly close to that. But that's not interesting because there's nothing to look at. What do we want to look at that band for? We don't. Why would we want to look at this streak? I mean, it is pinned between two lighter values, which does make it a little more interesting, but it doesn't lead anywhere. It's just surrounded by super light values. So once you remove the color, the interest kind of goes away. It doesn't work anymore. Let's look at one of mine. I just picked this painting at random, pretty much because I just donated it the other day and I took a picture of it. And so I don't have it anymore. But this painting I did in, what is that? 2018, so 8 years ago. I was still trying to figure out my style and my technique at that point. So I have this painting here that I did, and let's see how my values are. I don't hate this painting. Obviously, I didn't love it enough to keep it, but let's see how my values are. Saturation. So, for sure, the trees in the background are the darkest, and then the foreground here. But the trees in the foreground really should be the darkest because they're our subject. Instead, they get lost in there. They kind of disappear. The sky has some a good bit of dark in it, and I think that that keeps the sky pretty interesting. But I don't really have any of those values mirrored in the snow. And I know it's snow, it's white, but there's still shadows. I do like this bit right here, these lighter bits in front of the dark. Sasha, there's a tutorial for this one. So it was from 2018, but yeah, it's on there. Um, I like the value difference here. This says smaller trees closer, merging into the distant forest. But this stuff here does not say that. It's very bright. It's too bright. And the darkest bits of the shadows really kind of mirror the darkest bits in the snow. These should be darker. Also, the snow should be much lighter right here by my trees, which are my focal point. Instead, it's brightest over here. Like, why? It shouldn't be that way. It should be darker here, darker back here. So my values are definitely off here. It's not too bad. Definitely could use a little work though. You guys have any questions as I go? I did do another one of mine, a more recent one. It's sitting around here somewhere, but I picked this one randomly too because it was the most recent photo of a completed painting I had on my camera roll. So that's why I picked this one. I'm not trying to pick a good one and a maybe not so good one to like elevate myself or something. Oh, Sasha, let's see. Oh, you did do it. Yay. But see, yours works better. Oh, Sasha, let's talk about your values for a second. All right. Sasha's painting, I believe, is far superior to mine. I'm going to screenshot it if you don't mind, Sasha, so that I can do the same test with it. Because I'm already telling you, you did good. Okay, so where'd it go before we get to mine? There. All right. Here's Sasha's painting. And already I can tell you this spot back here where it's like dark, gorgeous. Right here where it's lighter, perfect. Right here, these trees are light like mine, but this one feels so much closer. So I think that's okay. I would maybe darken these just a little bit, as long as we're talking about value. Otherwise, I mean, I think that that is gorgeous. So let me, I don't know how I'm using my phone. Okay, there we go. Let's do our values on here. I think that reads beautifully, beautifully. Um, oh, I'm not trying to embarrass you, dear. You did such a good job. I think it's beautiful. Um, yeah, if I were going to tell you any change to make, I would just say maybe leave this tree the way it is. Maybe just darken those ever so slightly. But no, you killed it. Good job. Okay, let's jump back. This is my most recent painting, like I said, that I had photographed, and I was really scared. I thought I focused on color too much and not value. So let's see. Come on. And desaturated. So the color was doing the work of putting the excitement in, but I was pleased to see that my values are pretty dang good here. I love it when the tops of trees disappear into the sky, and it really does. The value just kind of dissipates. I can still see all of the grasses and the details on the ground, the texture, the slope of the ground, the tree branches. So I think I did a pretty good what did Donna say? I think I did a pretty good job of my values on that. There can always be improvements, but I'm not dissatisfied with that. We're just going to do a couple more because I want to show you this. So this is a Monet, right? And this sky is actually quite reminiscent of this sky, right? The blues, the golds, the pinks. So let's see if Monet did his values correctly. Do we lose this guy over here, this distant stuff? We have these ripples in the water and around the reflection. There's a little bit of like detail work going on in here that makes the buildings not look flat and static. Do we lose the vibrancy, the dynamic movement in the sky when we take the color away? So, and the answer to all of those questions is no. We haven't lost anything. We still have our lighter section here that leads in. It moves off this way. We still have our distant shadowy bits and they're still connected to the main structure. We still have the vibrant light and movement, kind of that energy in the sky. And look at that. We still have the texture and bit of detail and structure in the buildings here. Oh, I didn't know if I long held that it would. So you can see the difference there. And that's because Monet was kind of a master of value. He knew how to manipulate the colors he was using to ensure that the values were there. Let's look at this Van Gogh real quick. This one, I was certain was gonna break the master painter rules of value, because we have all these stars, which is fine. I mean, that's good. Obviously, those are going to show up. All the lights in the buildings, the reflections. There's an obvious distinction between what's ground, what's water. And down here, if you've ever noticed, there's two people. You can clearly see a woman in a shawl and a man in a hat. And there's boats and the ground. You can tell the difference between the ground and the water. But are we going to be able to see all of that still when we desaturate it? So let's see. Look at that. It's all still there. It's all still completely readable. Look, even our, oh man, I can't, there we go. Even our people, they read exactly the same. Exactly the same. They do not look, I mean, they're black and white now, but no features disappeared. The ground, we still know what's ground. We can still see the boats. All of those little things. And that's all down to the value again. Let me show you how a lot of, and I know for a fact I have been guilty of this, a lot of kind of like beginner paintings, easy paintings, they completely disregard value. And while they might work in color, like this is pretty fun. It's really busy, but it's whimsical and, you know, with the stylized leaves and everything. But is it going to look as fun and whimsical in black and white? That was what I was curious to see. And now I feel like it becomes completely unreadable. Obviously, you can still see the tree trunks, but those dots, it's almost like static. All you're really seeing is the outliers. So the the dark ones. All of the mid-tones and the darks just look dark in the middle here. And the only thing that's really standing out here is light ones, and it's really hard to look at it without the color, I think. Anyway, I think that's the last one that we're going to do. Oh yeah, we're coming up on time. So what I want you guys doing this week for homework specifically is your value charts. Do as many as you want. Do them in whatever medium you want. Make sure that when you post it to Discord, you say what medium it is, because if I think you used charcoal and it's a number 2 pencil, I might say your values could be darker. But if it's a number 2 pencil, they really can't be any darker than that. So do a couple of them and make yourself one that you can use for the rest of the month and next month. We are going to need our value charts next month, and we will get to all of that, how color relates to value. But yeah, so make your color charts. Maybe take some photos of a painting you're working on or one that you're done with, and put it into the 0 saturation and see how your values are. See if there's anywhere that you could improve in that. And Meta just posted one. Let's see. Oh, a pencil. There we go. You used a 6B. Oh, you used all the different pencils. That's interesting. That looks really good. Good job, Meta. I love your textures. I can see your cross-hatching and stuff. Yeah. Photograph some of your old paintings. Look at the values. You don't have to change anything. Make your color charts. And then if you do make any art this week, just really pay attention to your values. Next week, we are going to do some value studies. And that'll be really fun. So make sure you come with whatever material it is that you typically use, whether it's paint, acrylic, watercolor, pencil, charcoal, marker, whatever it is. Come next week with more paper and your tools, and we'll do some simple value studies. They're gonna be fun. So does anybody have any last questions before we vamoose and I go ingest more dust in my lungs? Oh, interesting, Meta. So she says it's the only way I've been able to achieve the desired values in my portraits, by using the different range of pencils. Yeah, that's really interesting. So I'm glad that you've discovered what works for you. And oh my gosh, Meta, your values have come such a long way. Such a long way. Look at that. I mean, it's black and white already, so you can tell, you know, how the values are doing the job. Should you not use different pencils? Girl, you use whatever you have to use to get what you need. No, I'm not about to tell you that. I don't do pencil drawings, so I don't know if that's a thing people do or not. You do what you need to do. Yes, we'll be doing a value study, but it's going to be very simple, Joe. Like a single object, a ball, an apple, a can, maybe something like that. So it's not going to be too terribly, yeah, girl. Man, your values are good. Good job, Meta. I'm super proud of you, and those are amazing. Yeah, they will be very simple. We will not be focusing on the drawing or the scene or anything, just on the values, just like when we did shapes and things like that. So also, before I let you guys go, I just want to tell you one thing I had an idea about today, and I decided that it was a good idea without bringing it up to you, and that we were going to do that. So at the end, starting this month, at the end of the month, so probably our third our third class. We are going to start kind of going backwards and taking everything we've learned for the year thus far and putting it into practice. So your homework starting this month will get a little bit more aggressive. So in week 3, your homework might be draw an apple and make sure that you focus on your shapes and your edges and your marks and your one sec. Your marks, your values, all of that. We're going to start putting everything together every month at the end of the month. No. No, Joe, we're not going to be painting over the value studies just yet. These are just going to be, just simple throwaway value studies. So don't worry about that. Meta homework, value studies, or the value charts. Do as many as you want in whatever mediums you want. And just start looking at some of your older art. Photograph it if you need to. Turn down the saturation and kind of study the values that you've done previously to see where improvements could be made. So that's really it. A lot of you have turned in your homework already, so that's fine. But yeah, pop up into Discord if you have questions or you want to show off what you're working on. It's been a little quiet in there lately, which I know is because I haven't been around much. I'm so sorry. I promise I won't be moving forever. It's only a couple more months. Anyway, I'm going to stop yapping at you and vamoose myself. So, okay, guys, have a good rest of your Sunday, and I will see you probably in a few days.